Hello everyone, and welcome to day 4 of my advent calendar. And speaking of advent calendars, look at this. This is my collection of wool felt that I've built up over the years, and some of it is quite old and used, and here actually is some of it is moth-eaten, but I am going to use this felt to make a miniature advent calendar. So I've got my door here and the Christmas stocking I made in the previous days, and now I'll just pick out some colors that will match these colors. And here's one that I like. Blue. Here's another one. It's not quite the same one, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And let's see. This one's quite nice. That's the old one. The moth-eaten one. Well, I'll pick out some more colors. Really like this orange one. It's a bit bright, but this one I also like. I'll pick out some more colors because I need loads of them. 25, of course. And I'll stay in the same color range, but cream, of course, and are these the same? White. I've picked these as my base colors, and there's 6. And here are the accent colors I've chosen. And I really like these blended colors. They remind me of the 60s and 70s somehow, but I really like them. So these 6 colors are my main colors, and from these colors I'm going to cut these little shapes, and they represent woolly hat, stockings, and woolly mittens, and these will form little pockets, 24 of them. And in those pockets, you will be able to put little gifts over the course of Advent. And I'm using very simple shapes for the pattern of the mittens and the hats and the stockings. And I use thin cardstock for them. And it's very simple, especially with felt, because felt is so easy to cut. I don't pin it or anything, just hold it onto the felt and cut around it. Couldn't be easier. And this is what I'm doing with all of the colors. I've made a little bit of a layout of where I'd like the colors to go and which pieces to go where. And I'm happy with it like this. And I've added one bright color in the middle, which I also liked. Now, these, of course, are supposed to be little mittens, so they need a thumb on there as well. So I'm going to cut the thumbs out of the colors that I need, and I'm just going to glue them on there. And maybe I'll leave the ends free to give it a little bit of dimension, but it's an easy job. Now I've glued all the thumbs to the mittens, and I used contrasting colors, most of them, because I thought that was nicer. And I've also cut all the backings to all of the pieces, and I've cut little heart shapes, and they act as pompons for the hats. This is an advent calendar, so they all need numbers, so I have to embroider the numbers on there, and that's best done before the stitching is done all around, like here. This was a bit premature. Now, before I start to stitch, I just take my pencil and draw a very faint number on there, the number I want. In this case, it's number 1. So I know where to stitch. Makes it a little bit easier than just doing it freehand. I'm using a very simple stitch, and I don't know if that's called a running stitch or it's just a simple stitch. There, number 1. And now the rest. I finished embroidering all of the numbers on there, and as you can see, I did use black and white numbers because it just looked better. Now I'm going to sew the 2 halves of the pieces together, and I'm going to be using a blanket stitch for that. I'll quickly show you how to do a blanket stitch. Now take your thread and tie a little knot on the end. Then take your 2 pieces and put your needle on the inside of the front piece, and I start at the top so that the knot ends up on the inside of your 2 pieces. Then push your 2 pieces together, take your needle across the piece to the back and go through to the front exactly where the other thread came out. Then pull the thread, and when you're almost there, put the needle through the loop like that, and then pull the thread. That's your first stitch. And then the second and the rest of the stitches, you go to the back, go back from back to front, pull the thread, and when you're almost there, put your needle through the loop and pull the thread. And again, pull the thread, put your needle through the loop, pull the thread, needle in back to front, pull the thread, put your needle through the loop and pull the thread. And this is not only really fast, but it's also a very decorative stitch. And then you end up with a stitch like that. And then continue around the rest and all of the other pieces. And then when I finished the blanket stitch, with the rest of the thread, I just crochet a little loop so that I can hang it up. And I've got a very fine crochet needle. I think it's 0.8 millimeters. It actually is a 0.75 millimeters crochet hook or crochet needle, or number 10. And this one is very nice. It's from Clover in Japan. Very, very small. But I like this one. And I finished all the hooks on the loops on there, and with the embroidery and the blanket stitch around it. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but they're now finished, and I can now go on to the next step. And for that, I have to go outside. The weather is a bit drab today, but I'm out here in the garden because I need to get something. I need to get a few branches for my miniature advent calendar. And here's a couple of big ones. Hello, girls and boy. Maybe these here are good. This one here is a shoot of the plum tree. I think that one's perfect, so I'll just cut that off. Hello. Are you coming to help me? They always think they get food. And this lady here, she's really old. She's 17. That's pretty old for a sheep. Okay, let's go. And it's been raining, so they look a little bit drenched. Well, that was very appropriate as I'm working with wool felt. Well, this wool felt didn't come from the fleece of my sheep, though. Anyway, here are the sticks I've cut, and I've dried them in the oven actually for a few hours, so they are dry, and that's not necessary, but I did that anyway. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a grid of these little branches and tie them together, like one there and one there, and then some here, so they have to hang there like that. And I've seen this on a photo, a real one in full size, and there they had all these advent. They had I think hats and gloves or mittens, and they were all knitted. And I thought of doing that because I really like knitted wear, but I thought felt was beautiful as well. I love felt anyway, so I'm going to do that and tie them together with some thread. Well, the rack is finished, and but not all of them want to face forward when they hang down. So what I'll do is I'll take some water, and I'll just wet the loops and pull them a little bit, and hopefully they will then, if I dry them standing up like that, they will then dry in the direction I want them to. Just a little bit of gentle persuasion. And I'll just leave them overnight, see what happens. It's finished. I'm really happy with it. And all it needs now is a few little gifts. Let me put one in here for tomorrow. Until next time.